My name is Emily Hart, and this is the story of how I lost my family and found myself. Before we start, if you have ever felt unseen, unheard, or unloved in your own home, I want you to know this story is especially for you. And if you enjoy stories about justice, redemption, and rising above the people who tried to break you, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach more people who might need them. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. I was not born into a loving home. I was born into a structured home, a strict home, a home that looked perfect on the outside but felt hollow on the inside. My parents, Richard and Helen Hart, prided themselves on three things: appearances, control, and my older sister, Vanessa. Vanessa was the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect attitude, perfect blonde curls that everyone said made her look like a young actress. And me? I was the other one. The quiet one. The inconvenient one. My mother once said, "Emily is like a smudge on a polished window. Always there. Always dulling what could have been perfect." She said it casually, like she was remarking about the weather. My father rarely spoke to me unless he was comparing me to Vanessa. She managed straight A's with no excuses. "Why can't you sit properly, Emily? Your sister never slouches. Why can't you be more presentable?" Nothing I did was ever enough. But I learned to stop expecting love. Some children grow up craving affection. I grew up craving silence. By the time I reached high school, I had already mastered the art of invisibility. I went through my days like a shadow, unnoticed and unimportant. My parents had this grand plan for Vanessa: Ivy League education, an internship at my father's corporate firm, a career laid out like a golden carpet. I, meanwhile, chose something they called a waste of time: computer science. They hated it because they did not understand it, because it was not part of their perfect picture. So naturally, they decided to simply stop supporting it. "You want to study computers? Then figure it out yourself," my father had said, sliding my college acceptance letter back across the table as if it was trash. He thought that would stop me. Instead, it lit a fire inside me. I applied for every scholarship I could. I worked part-time jobs. I coded late at night with my laptop balanced on boxes because I did not have a desk. I hustled, I studied, I survived. I knew I was alone, but I also knew I was capable. And slowly, without anyone noticing, I began to stand out not as a disappointment, but as one of the strongest coding majors in my program. Still, even with my achievements, my parents barely spoke to me. They only called when they needed something from me, usually an errand, a chore, or a reminder to stay out of Vanessa's way. But I did not mind, because I had learned to dream quietly. My professor, Dr. Morales, had always told me, "You think invisibility is a curse. But sometimes, Emily, the quiet ones are the ones changing the world while no one is watching." I did not believe her at the time. Not until the day she introduced me to someone who changed everything. It was during my senior year. A program called Hartwell Innovations Fellowship had opened applications, offering mentorship with leaders in the tech industry, including CEOs of major companies. It was competitive. Only 5 students from the entire region would be selected. I applied without thinking I had a chance. A month later, I got the email. "Congratulations, Emily Hart. You have been selected." I stared at the screen for so long that my vision blurred. The mentor assigned to me was the CEO of a major tech corporation, Alexander Grayson, founder of Grayson Dynamics. A billionaire, a visionary, a man who could change someone's life with a single decision. And somehow he chose me. When I told my parents, hoping just for once for them to be proud, my mother only said, "I hope Vanessa does not find out. She does not need distractions during her internship." That moment was the first time I realized something important. Some people will never see your worth, not because it is not there, but because they cannot see past their own reflection. Working under CEO Grayson was a turning point I never saw coming. He was calm, brilliant, and surprisingly humble. He asked about my ideas that no one else ever cared to hear. He pushed me to think bigger, dream harder, and challenge everything I had been taught about my potential. He once told me, "You grew up around people who underestimated you. That makes you dangerous in the best possible way." Under his mentorship, I created a project and algorithm with potential across multiple industries. It was not perfect yet, but it caught attention. Serious attention. And then came graduation day, the day everything changed. It was supposed to be just another milestone, something I would quietly walk through. I knew my parents did not plan to attend. They had not been present for anything else. So when I saw them standing outside the auditorium in formal clothes, Vanessa posing beside them like a model, I froze. My mother's smile was thin and forced. My father's expression unreadable. I felt hope flicker, weak but familiar. Maybe, just maybe, they had come because they were proud. I walked toward them slowly. "Mom? Dad? You came?" My mother sighed, as if I had asked something inconvenient. "Let's get this over with," she said. "We just need you to sign something." My stomach tightened. Sign what? My father reached into his briefcase and pulled out a thin stack of papers. He handed them to me with the same cold precision he used for corporate contracts. I read the title on the top page. My breath stopped. Declaration of Disownment. I looked up at them in disbelief. You want to disown me? Today? My mother crossed her arms. "We want to make it official. You chose a path outside this family. You made your decisions. Now we are making ours." Vanessa smirked, her perfect lipstick shining. "We just want to move forward without complications." The wind around me seemed to stop. I felt 16 years old again, standing in the hallway while my parents praised Vanessa's achievements and ignored mine. I felt every insult, every dismissal, every ignored cry for validation. But this was different. This was a severing, a rejection so complete it carved into my bones. My father held out a pen. "Sign them, Emily. It is for the best." My hands trembled. I did not know if it was rage, grief, or relief that made them shake. Maybe all three. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break down. I wanted to disappear. But instead, I did something else. I looked up and asked, "Why today? Why on my graduation?" My mother shrugged. "Because you will not matter after this." That sentence would follow me for years. I did not sign. Not yet. I folded the papers with shaking hands and said, "I have to go. The ceremony is starting." My father grabbed my wrist. "Emily." I pulled away. "No." It was the first time I had ever said that word to him. His eyes widened, as if shocked I had dared to resist. I walked into the auditorium while my parents watched me leave, annoyed and impatient, like I had inconvenienced them. Little did they know, they were minutes away from the biggest shock of their lives. I walked into the auditorium with my heart pounding against my ribs, like it was trying to escape. The world around me blurred, students adjusting their gowns, families finding their seats, the buzz of excitement filling the air. But inside me, everything felt painfully still. I kept replaying their words in my mind. "We want to move forward without complications. You will not matter after this. Sign them, Emily." Disownment papers. On the day that was supposed to symbolize a beginning, my parents tried to write me out of their story entirely. But maybe they were right about one thing. This day was a beginning, just not the one they expected. I found my seat among the graduating students and forced myself to breathe. My hands were still trembling, so I hid them in the folds of my gown. A girl beside me, Lena, leaned in and whispered, "Hey, are you okay? You look like you just saw a ghost." I gave a weak smile. Something like that. She didn't push. She just nodded, her kindness like a bandage over a bleeding wound. As the ceremony began, I felt my parents' presence like a weight behind me. They had taken seats somewhere among the crowd, probably front and center, where Vanessa insisted they always sit for her events. A part of me wondered why they even stayed. If they wanted nothing to do with me, why watch me graduate at all? But then, I knew the answer. Appearances. If Vanessa's parents walked out of the ceremony halfway, it would be noticed. It would be talked about. It would affect the image they had spent years polishing. They did not stay for me. They stayed for her. The dean stepped onto the stage, his voice booming through the speakers. Today, we celebrate not just academic achievement, but resilience, perseverance, and potential. His words felt sharp, almost ironic. I wondered if he knew how many of us were walking into this day carrying invisible wounds. He continued through speeches, acknowledgments, and formalities. Then came the moment everyone waited for. The following students are being honored for exceptional contributions in their fields. My chest tightened. This was the section where CEO Alexander Grayson was scheduled to appear. My parents, of course, knew nothing about that. If they had known, they might have treated this morning differently. I swallowed hard as the list continued. Names echoed through the hall, each met with applause. Then the dean paused. And finally, we invite to the stage a very special guest CEO of Grayson Dynamics, Alexander Grayson. The room erupted in surprised whispers and applause. I felt the air shift behind me, my parents realizing this was not a normal ceremony. And then he stepped onto the stage. Alexander Grayson walked with calm confidence, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, holding the room's attention without effort. His presence alone made the audience straighten. He stood at the microphone. Thank you. It is an honor to be here, because today, I get to recognize someone extraordinary. My heart jumped. He continued. In my career, I have met countless brilliant minds. But every once in a while, someone stands out. Not because they come from privilege, not because their path was easy, but because they rise above circumstances designed to break them. Every word felt like a hand closing around the air in my lungs. I heard my mother whisper behind me, sharp, confused. Why is a CEO speaking today? My father muttered back, probably something to do with the fellowship Vanessa applied for. Vanessa applied? I did not know that. But I did know something else. She did not get in. And she had never forgiven me for it. CEO Grayson looked down at his list. Today, I am proud to announce our top honoree. This student not only excelled academically, but created a groundbreaking predictive algorithm that my company intends to develop further. The crowd murmured. My father stiffened. My mother leaned forward. Vanessa's chair creaked sharply. And my pulse hammered in my ears. Grayson continued. This student worked without support, without privilege, and often without recognition. They succeeded because their determination was stronger than the obstacles placed in their way. My breath shook as he lifted his eyes to the audience. Please join me in celebrating Emily Hart. For a moment, I thought I had imagined it. Everything stopped. Then the room exploded in applause. My classmates turned toward me, wide-eyed, cheering. Lena grabbed my hand. Emily, that is you. Go. My legs felt numb as I stood. I walked down the aisle in slow motion, feeling hundreds of eyes on me, including 3 pairs burning into my back. When I reached the stage, Grayson extended his hand. His smile was proud, genuine, warm, the kind of smile my parents had never given me. Emily, he said softly, you earned this. I swallowed the lump in my throat and shook his hand. He turned back to the microphone. Emily's algorithm impressed our entire board. She demonstrated initiative, expertise, and innovative thinking far beyond her age. That is why Grayson Dynamics is offering her a full-time position effective immediately. The applause grew thunderous. I could not breathe. A job offer. At one of the most competitive tech companies in the country. Before I could process it, he added. And in recognition of her contributions, we are awarding her a 5-figure development grant to continue refining her work. Gasps rippled through the audience. I felt the entire world tilt. A grant. A position. A public acknowledgement. On the same day, my parents tried to erase me. As the applause faded, Grayson leaned toward me and said quietly, your parents look surprised. I almost laughed. Almost cried. Yeah, I whispered, they are. He squeezed my shoulder gently before stepping aside to let me give my speech. I had not prepared one, but I knew exactly what I needed to say. I stepped up to the microphone, my hands still shaking. The lights felt hot on my skin, but the silence in the room gave me courage. I grew up in a home where I was told I did not matter. I began. Where my value was measured by comparisons, I could never win. For a long time, I believed their words. My voice wavered, but I continued. But the truth is, our worth is not determined by the people who fail to see it. A murmur of agreement passed through the audience. Our worth is built by the choices we make, the resilience we show, and the courage to keep going even when no one believes in us. Today is not just my graduation. It is proof that your story does not end where others try to cut it off. Behind me, I heard a chair shift violently. A sharp inhale. Vanessa, probably fuming. And to anyone out there who feels invisible, I paused, my throat thickening. You contain more power than you realize. Applause rose again, gentler, more emotional. I stepped back, and CEO Grayson thanked me. The ceremony continued, but my part was done. I walked off the stage with a pounding heartbeat and 1,000 emotions swirling inside me. I barely sat down before I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned, and there they were, my parents, and Vanessa, their faces pale, shocked, and desperate. My father forced a smile that looked more like a grimace. "Emily, honey, we did not know." I stood. "Do not call me that." My mother blinked rapidly, adjusting her pearl necklace. "You should have told us you were working with the CEO. This is incredible. You must be thrilled. As your parents, You tried to disown me," I said quietly. The words sliced the air between us. My father shook his head. "We only did that because we thought." I raised the folded papers. "You thought I would not matter," I said. "You thought today was a good day to erase me because you assumed I would walk across the stage unnoticed." I stepped closer. "But you were wrong." They fell silent. For the first time, I felt taller than all of them. "Emily," Vanessa muttered, her voice trembling, "you cannot hold this against us. You made things difficult. You always." I cut her off. "No. I survived everything alone. You made it difficult. And now you want to stand beside me because you realize I succeeded without you." Vanessa's lips parted, but no sound came out. My parents stared at me like they were seeing a stranger. Maybe they were, because the girl they tried to break was not standing in front of them anymore. And then I said the words that finally ended everything. "I will sign the papers." Their eyes widened. "But not for your reasons," I added. "I am signing because I am done belonging to people who never wanted me." My mother finally lost her composure. "Emily, please, your career, your future, you need us." I shook my head. I never did. And for the first time, I believed it. I walked out of the auditorium with the disownment papers clutched in my hand. The air outside was crisp, the sky bright, almost painfully blue, too beautiful for what I was feeling. Students were laughing, hugging, taking pictures with their proud families. But I moved through the crowd like a ghost. My parents followed behind me, their footsteps sharp with desperation. "Emily," my father called. "Emily, stop," my mother added, breathless. I kept walking until I reached the quiet courtyard behind the administration building. Only then did I turn around. My parents stood a few feet away, faces drawn, uneasy. Vanessa hovered slightly behind them, her perfect confidence cracked for the first time. My father stepped forward. "Emily, you are overreacting. We made a mistake." "Everyone makes a mistake," I repeated softly. He nodded quickly. "Yes." A moment of poor judgment. "But we can work through this. Vanessa is willing to help review the papers and—" My laugh cut him off. It was not a cruel laugh. It was a tired one. A laugh built from years of swallowing their pain. "Do you even hear yourselves?" I asked. "You tried to erase me because you thought I was a burden. Now you want me back because I am useful." My mother's eyes flashed. "We were trying to protect the family. You know how hard we worked for our reputation. We could not let your choices create complications." I stared at her. "My choices? Mother, the only choice I ever had was whether I let people like you define me." Her lips tightened, but I continued. "You pushed me aside for years. You ignored me unless you needed a favor. You pretended I did not exist because I did not fit your perfect family picture. And now today of all days you decided I wasn't worth your last name. Vanessa's voice finally cracked through the tension. Emily, just listen. You are being emotional. You should be grateful that. Grateful? I said slowly. She flinched. I took a step closer. You want to know what I am grateful for, Vanessa? I am grateful that you showed me what love is not. I am grateful that I learned early that validation from the wrong people is worthless. And I am grateful that today, the universe answered every bit of cruelty you ever threw at me. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing, not anger, not satisfaction, not revenge. Just closing. My father jabbed a finger at the papers I held. Emily, if you sign those, you are cutting ties with us forever. Do you understand that? The words were meant to intimidate me. They sounded like freedom. I do, I said. My mother stepped forward, her voice shaking for the first time in my life. You cannot mean that. We are your family. I looked at her, really looked. For the first time, I did not feel the sting of longing when I heard the word family. Because I finally understood something. We may share blood, I said softly, but we were never family. My mother covered her mouth. Vanessa wiped her tears. My father's shoulders sagged not in sadness, but in disbelief that he no longer held power over me. I unfolded the papers. The wind rustled the edges. Emily, my mother whispered, please do not do this. You will regret. No, I said. I regret ever believing I needed you. With calm hands steady for the first time all day, I took the pen from the folder. My name sat printed on the signature line, waiting. I had imagined signing something like this would hurt more, that it would feel like losing something. But as the ink met the paper, I felt a weight leave my shoulders. I signed the last page and closed the folder. The silence between us was heavy, electric. My father's jaw clenched. So that is it then. You are no longer part of this family. I handed the folder back to him. No, I said. You chose that the moment you handed me these. He swallowed hard. Vanessa hugged herself tightly. Emily, please, we can fix this. We cannot, I said gently. And that is okay. Because it was. For the first time, it truly was. I walked away before they could speak again. My footsteps felt lighter with each step. The campus stretched before me, filled with students celebrating, families cheering, the smell of spring grass heavy in the air. I stopped by an old cherry blossom tree near the fountain, the place I used to go when I needed quiet. I sat on the cool stone edge and let myself breathe. And then something unexpected happened. I cried. Not the silent, suppressed tears of a child trying not to be noticed. These were different. These were tears of release, of ending, of beginning. Emily. I wiped my eyes quickly and turned. It was CEO Grayson. He approached slowly, concern softening his features. I did not mean to intrude. I wanted to check on you. You left very quickly. I tried to compose myself. I am fine. Really? He sat beside me. You do not have to be fine, he said quietly. Not today. The kindness in his voice almost broke me again. He glanced at the papers in my hand, the ones I had signed. Was that what I think it was? I nodded. They came to disown me before the ceremony. He exhaled sharply, anger flickering in his eyes on my behalf. Emily, I am sorry. I am not, I said. Not anymore. He studied me for a moment, then nodded with something like admiration. You are stronger than you realize, he said. Most people take years to walk away from toxic bonds. You did it today. I looked at him, grateful. He continued, you have a future ahead of you that they cannot take from you. A future you built on your own merit. And I meant every word I said on that stage. Hearing it again made something inside me settle, something that had been restless for years. Thank you, I whispered. He smiled. Are you ready for what comes next? I thought about it. About the job. About the grant. About the fact that I was no longer tied to people who hurt me. Yes, I said finally. I am ready. He stood and offered his hand. Then let us talk about your next steps. I took it. And for the first time in my life, the future felt like mine. Later that evening, as I walked alone across campus one last time, the world felt different. The shadows were softer, the wind gentler, the path ahead clearer. I realized something important. Being disowned did not break me. It freed me. I had spent years believing love meant approval, obedience, and silence. But it didn't. Real love lifts you. Real love sees you. Real love never punishes you for becoming more than what others expected. I did not lose a family today. I simply let go of people who had never been one. And in their place, I found myself, my worth, my voice, and the life I always deserved. If you are still here, thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your worth is not defined by the people who fail to see it. You are allowed to walk away from pain. You are allowed to choose yourself. And if this story meant something to you, please consider leaving a comment, sharing your thoughts, or telling me if you have ever felt unseen the way I once did. Your words help more people find these stories. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you want more emotional, powerful journeys like this one. Until next time, take care of yourself.